Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic, that's non-classics. This is episode number 2021, Doubleshot number 1915. I got two Avengers themed trades for this one. First up it is Avengers, the Children's Crusade, which collects the 9-issue limited series Children's Crusade, along with a material from Uncanny X 426 and Avengers Children's Crusade Young Avengers number 1. Now, this book was, get this, it took 9 years, it took basically 2 years to release 9 issues. You're probably thinking, how the heck is this possible? Why the heck did it take not 2 years to release 9 issues? Well, the reason was because this book was released twice a month. No, seriously. That's what it's supposed to be anyways. The first 6 issues were like that, yes. The last 3 received delays. From what I can tell, no explained reason. Okay, here's one for you. Issue 7. Okay, let's go here. Okay, so... And this is quite weird. As far as I can tell, now here's the thing. These release once every couple months, like starting in July 2010. That's when we started here. We have July, September, November, and that was basically 2010, the first 3 issues. Then we have January, April, and June. Think, okay, interesting. Nothing wrong with so far. Issue 7 didn't come out until frickin' September. 3 months later. And then we have another 3 months pass by for issue 8. And then another 3 months for issue number frickin' 9. No, seriously, this is by far one of the most baffling things I've ever heard. Now, I've never heard of the exact reason for the delay. Oh yeah, by the way, they would release a frickin' one-shot this period of time. Called Young Avengers, the Children's Crusade Young Avengers. Which all it was basically like... All it was basically just a early flash appearance of, well... First consequence of the Young Avengers. That's basically what it did here with this one. Now, the story of this one is this. Is that they're searching for the Scarlet Witch. And they basically run into trouble from the Avengers at first. Yes, the Avengers. Though here's something quite strange about this. Now, for some reason, here's the thing. This came out in 2010, and yet we have Steve Rogers still being in the Captain America costume. Yes, and the one thing about the series that I should noteworthy of is the fact that the characters, for some reason, Young Avengers, are treated like they're, let's just say... Oh, by the way, the writer of this book was one of the co-creators of Young Avengers. Yep. The artist of this book is Jim Chung, who is also... So basically, yeah, we have the original creative team of the Young Avengers working on this book. Which I think this may have been the first time they worked on the book since the original volume. We think, okay, did they work on the special? The writer did, but not the artist. No, Jim Chung didn't work on the artwork for that one. What about Civil War Young Avengers Runaways? No, that was done by Zeb Wells. So basically between the original book and this book we had an issue of New Avengers, Civil War, the main mini-series, Civil War, Young Avengers Presents. Now, was this done by the original writer? No. Basically it was multiple writers. Like every issue, like the first issue by Brubaker, second one was Brian Reed, the third issue is Roberto Aguirre-Sacista, 4 is Paul Cornell, and 5, Curry Garvin, and 6, Matt Fraction, which they actually included this one shot actually in the one of the first trades for Matt Fraction Hawkeye run. They call Spirit Secret Avengers, Young Avengers, Runaways, Mighty Avengers, Darker Young Avengers, Siege, Young Avengers. Basically, a few miniseries, some one-shot issues, but I'll talk about basically what happened with them afterwards because it is so baffling what happened afterwards. So, despite the fact this came out in 2010, now here's the thing. This actually is a bit of a continuity goof on the part of the writer of the book. Because we have Steve Rogers as Captain America. Which honestly makes no freaking sense because he wasn't Captain America at this point in time. Thinking, really? No, he wasn't. I mean, his previous appearance was in basically the Heroic Age one-shot. Yeah, for some reason, in this book, despite his previous appearance was in X-Men Heroic Age, here, he's Captain America. Do not know the reason for it. And it's just kind of weird of how it's like Alan Hubbard basically ignored something that happened in their book. Yeah, so we detail the whole thing with the Young Avengers. And then the regular Avengers show up because basically power stuff related to like terrorists. And of course, they explain the whole thing with Magneto and the House of M stuff. So then, of course, we have Wiccan and Speed go look for their mother, the Scarlet Witch. Which Young Avengers all agree. And of course, we have one to meet their parents, supposedly. And of course, where like you have Hulkling and Wiccan, who are a couple. So they try to hook up. Of course, they basically have Magneto at the end of issue 1. Yep. And of course, everybody is against the fact they're going with Magneto. Like, Wolverine shows up, obviously. And of course, Spider-Man's here. Yes, Spider-Man's here. It's a good thing he's here. And then, like, okay, so they all basically go disguised in. They go to Latveria because that's what Scarlet Witch is. Latveria. Why? Because she's in Doc Doom's castle. Why the heck is she there? She's engaged to marry him. Yes. She's engaged to marry to Dr. Doom. Because somehow Doc Doom fell in love with the Scarlet Witch. No, seriously. So then, of course, after the Young Avengers get involved, and then for some reason, halfway this miniseries, despite the fact it clearly like a Avengers book per se, and of course, preparing for the wedding, and of course, various other stuff happened here. And then for some reason, at the end of issue number 4, we had the return of Iron Lad. First time we've seen him since the original Young Avengers book at this point in time. Yes, Iron Lad. If you don't know who this guy is the teenage is basically a prototype Kang the Conqueror. Yeah, that's basically what he is. Also, he's just a relative of Reed Richards. He's his descendant. Yeah, 5, of course. Okay, we gotta figure out a way to undo Scarlet Witch's damage. Massive brawls going on. Of course, they do. And then, of course, they do a bit of time traveling. Where do they end up? The events of Avengers Disassembled. Yes, seriously. Where, like, oh, we have Cassie reunited for an awesome father, Scott Lang. And then, Zombie Jack of Hearts. Yeah, now we're definitely Avengers 500. So, they get away from him, and of course, basically, Jack of Hearts kind of forgives Wano shit, and of course, he gets back to the future. And then, Scarlet Witch is basically back to normal after apparently losing memory. And then we see Hawkeye back. Yeah, here's the thing. Hawkeye died in Avengers Assembled, and he was brought back in House of M. Because I think Bendis must have regretted killing off freaking Hawkeye. Yes, seriously. I think he regretted killing him off, so that's why he undid something he did. Yes, seriously. And this book just undid the death of Scott Lang. By the way, Scott Lang had been dead. See, that was issue number 5. Yes, issue 5 of this book. Excuse me. Issue 5 was released in April 2011. Scott Lang had been dead at the point for almost 7 years in comics. 7 years. Jack of Hearts died again, though he came back twice. First in Marvel's Zombie Supreme, and then came back again currently in the current She-Hulk run. So we brought back Scott Lang, Jack of Hearts put to the side here. Of course, Hawkeye basically is back about. And of course, Wanda reunites with her children. And then X-Factor gets involved. Yes, freaking X-Factor. Because Scarlet Witch wants to basically try to undo the events of basically M-Day. So her first start is to basically fix Richter. And it works. He becomes the first mutant who was the power to be repowered. Though technically you could say it was Quicksilver, but that was due to Terrigen crystals. But this is basically what Scarlet Witch undoes something she did. And then for some strange reason, the freaking X-Men show up, and for some reason, the artists have a good idea to give the X-Men the old 60s logo. Yeah, and here's the thing though. At the time this lineup was here, the X-Men were headquartered in California. What did they do? Fly their freaking X-Jet all the way over here? This lineup, you have basically from left to right, you have Rogue, Colossus, Cyclops, Storm, Emma Frost, Iceman, and freaking Gambit. And of course, like, Richter's so happy, and then of course, then we have a toss-up between the Avengers and the X-Men, because this is before AVX. And then of course, basically have Magneto, Argo, we have like a 3-arc between Cyclops, Magneto, and Captain America. You could say this is an adult term, a pissing contest. Yes, that is literally what the writer is basically doing with 3 premier characters, who are all creations of Jack Kirby. Yes, seriously. Let me say one more time. These 3 are having a pissing contest. That is literally what these 3 are doing. Measuring their dick sizes. That is literally what's happening here. And they're like, knock it off. You guys' power's back. Well, basically, and of course, you have this massive argument between, oh, she's immune. We'll try her. And of course, this you can think, oh, is this Avengers vs. X-Men 1 year early? No, this isn't, because Alan Herberg is not that freaking stupid. He would not freaking do that at all. Though he kind of would, though Scarlet Witch, at least is not over the freaking Phoenix Force, like it would a year later. And then we have, we're eliminated by Emma Frost. She's like, well, if it isn't the Witch's sons, how would you two fine young mutants like become X-Men? All you have to do is come along, Auntie Emma. Yes, Auntie Emma. Yes, Auntie Emma. Auntie Emma, you might want to check your mother first. Because she's a real bitch. And she knocks her out, which is so funny. Yep. Yeah. It's so funny. And of course, she tries to get everybody to freaking calm down. And of course, the whole thing with, like, Doctor Doom and Scarlet Witch. Like, nah. And by the way, partway through the story, we have sort of, Wiccan loses power to Doctor Doom because he just fixes it. And of course, they reunite, and they try to undo it, but it doesn't exactly work at this point. Not yet. Won't happen until a year later. And then for some reason, apparently Doctor Doom becomes this. Yes, the White Doctor Doom. Which, by the way, this look would pop up in FF. Yes, seriously. Like, my face is fixed. Despite the fact his face is basically, the whole thing with this is undone by the end of this miniseries. Yeah, the whole thing with Doctor Doom. And of course, Speed's like Wiccan in jail. And then, of course, basically, Wiccan, of course, the Speed, Wiccan points out so obvious thing. And of course, like, because the whole thing was with Wanda. Here's basically his speech. He says, yes, after all Magneto's untold thousands, he made X-Men. Emma Frost, Queen Hellfire Club, and a murderer. Rogue was a terrorist, murdered immunes. Gambit was a member of the Thieves Guild. And Wonder Man, Ant-Man, Hawkeye, Vision, all started as wrong side of the law. By a person can't imagine Avengers without them. How many times you be possessed by an evil spirit, or mind control, force things you would never do? Yeah, and it's a very good speech. Yeah. You should look at the picture. Whatever crimes, why Max save lives, and say them more importantly. And the question is how you treat what happens with compassion. Yeah, basically the two people who died during the original 8 Avengers Assembled, they're both alive. Though actually 3 died. One was actually brought back during this miniseries coming out. So then we turn to, let's have the Avengers to fight frickin' Doctor Doom. And of course, you have where Ant-Man possibly is killed by Doctor Doom, so Cassie goes giant size, fights him. For quite a while, then his face gets burned once again. And then this book does the unthinkable. Alan Hubbard kills off Cassie Lang. And she stays dead for... You're probably thinking, okay, how long does she stay dead for? You might ask. 3 years. Yep, Nick Spencer undoes this 3 years later in Avengers World. Number 15, which I believe was 14 was his final issue in that book, which was really good. It was basically him having Doctor Doom undid something he did, which was basically this, killing off Cassie Lang, which I'm sure a lot of people were not very happy that the writer of this book killed off Cassie Lang. But don't worry, she's fine. Nowadays she is. Yep. And of course, then another death happens here. The second Vision gets killed off by Iron Lad. Yep. And unlike Cassie Lang comes back, second Vision stays dead. And by the way, he never meets the original Vision. Nope. Never does. So yeah, they all go home. Mourn are dead. And also, the Young Avengers kind of disband. Kind of. Though also we see that we see Wiccan and Hulkling get engaged. And by the end of the miniseries, we actually have the Young Avengers be officially accepted as actual Avengers. Yes, and then we have the rebuilding stuff, basically from the events of Avengers book basically following what happened right afterwards with Magneto. And then we have sort of a what-if story with Avengers Jones to Young Avengers. But yeah, this book is really good. Thoroughly love it. The whole thing I said, Avengers Action Fighting. Yeah, at least it wasn't for dumb reasons like it was AVX just basically not long after this. Now, this would lead into AVX. Yes, seriously, this is basically leading to that. Though here's the thing. Fear itself was going on at the time this book isn't published. And never brought up as miniseries. Nope. So where chronologically does this fit in the Marvel timeline? Some said this book was entirely canon. Per se. The actual answer when it takes place? Could you say it was before Civil War 1? Honestly, I have no idea of when the world this is set during. I have no idea. But it came out during Heroic Age, which was basically... Can you believe the first issue of this book was released roughly 12 years ago, and the last issue was released roughly 10? Yeah, but this book is really good. I do recommend it if you're a fan of basically the period I really love for Marvel Comics, which period of 2004 to 2012. I love this era because there's a lot of really good comics. Nothing against the era, basically the other stuff that comes afterwards for the next decade. Yes, my second era for reading comics is 2013, 2015. And the current stuff, basically you also have that second era. The third era is basically from 2015 to roughly about 2017. Actually, about 2018. And then you have the current stuff of 2018 to present. Yeah, the first era is long because I love the stuff from this era. And this is one of the books published in the era. Yep. Alright, moving on to a different book, we have Maestro, War and Pax. Written by Peter David, second book of this trilogy. I will probably get the original one soon, don't worry about that. Mostly put, this is Maestro fighting the Parthenon, which are characters from Peter David's run. Yep, and the whole point of these 3 miniseries, it leads to Future Imperfect. That's literally what this is leading to. And we also with Dr. Doom in here. And that's pretty much all I'll talk about here. Just a really good book here. The Parthian gets killed off by the end of the miniseries, like the entire group does. It's great, though, Peter David revisit this group, because I think he... Let me check. I think he created the Parthian, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check here. Oh yeah, there's also appearance here by Aaron Steck, the Machine Man. Yes, a Jack Kirby character. Yep. Definitely. They definitely created Peter David. So it's great, though, the fact that Peter David practically revisited this group. And they only appeared just as miniseries. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they got killed off by pretty much by the penultimate issue. Yeah, pretty much he kills off pretty much the whole group. And also, there's stuff in here with freaking AIM. Yes, they basically did solve from the original book, which definitely looking forward to reviewing that one in the future. Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah, War and Pack stuff, really good. I can't wait to get my hands on the first book of this trilogy. So I can my final thoughts on this one. Give this book a 9.5 out of 10. It's really good. Okay, so that's episode review. And that's going to pretty much it video tonight. So tomorrow, I can say Super Sentai, Chainsaw Man, and maybe a Comic Corner. Okay, next video. Bye.